because Aaron Rodgers, listen, this is a team, Aaron Rodgers, I don't think he has to play MVP, all-world type of QBing. Like, he just needs to have an efficient offense, make those special throws to Garrett Wilson in the back of the end zone. Breece Hall is a beast. Braylon Allen. Listen, the killer bees in Florham Park, they are dangerous.
Let's keep talking about it here. So Rodgers goes on McAfee yesterday, as he does every Tuesday. And it is so great to see Rodgers having this kind of attitude for the team you root for. So there was all these questions about Jets culture. Listen to Aaron Rodgers on that yesterday.
I think you realize how ridiculous some of these offseason storylines can be. Is anybody talking about, minicamp anymore? Like, does anybody feel like, that's an important contributor in the season? The answer is no. We got a good thing going. There's a lot of belief right now. Winning is fun.
It has been fun so far. And then later in that same interview, he was responding to a quote from an article that was questioning the Jets culture, and Aaron went here.
I would say the culture is about the opposite of what that article said.
No.
I didn't read the article, but just reading that headline there, it sounds like it was written by Haasan Reddick's agent in a way to, but former agent, I guess, possibly, in a way to try and disparage our great organization.
Oh, let's go.
Let's go.
Oh, let's go. All the years we have sat here and listened to Aaron saying things, and all of a sudden he's saying them for me.
Before we get crazy,
yeah.
Are we a week old? Do you remember him last week?
Yes.
Like Greeny was off the bandwagon with the defense. I mean,
he had to talk him off the ledge.
and now
We're back,
one
baby.
interview,
We're back.
It's a week to week late. It's a week to week late. That's it. You got a green pocket square in there. She's got a green dress. We're feeling good. We're back. Haasan Reddick's agent, take that. So here's what we're talking about. Is he right? Like he's winning, make everything okay,
let me just say, as somebody who's actually been in that locker room and been around that team, I don't know why people want to criticize Aaron Rodgers, the leader, because everything we have seen since this man came to Florham Park, he was there early, he was working out last season, he got hurt, yes, but he came back and was still on the sideline, still with his teammates, and this year, I get that he can say some off-the-wall stuff if you believe that, but in this locker room, guys look up to him. Guys are like, we understand the standard that we have to raise our game to because Aaron Rodgers is here. That is a good thing for the Jets, and I don't know why that culture, if anything, is so much better than it has been.
That's nothing that we've said around here. We've always said that the team loves him and the players love him, but that doesn't mean that the way that he's leading the organization is right. They're winning right now, and even sometimes all teams get some wins, and he's right. The winning feels good. Throwing those incredible passes makes everyone excited and interested in him, but when he came back last year and was talking about, I might be able to return this season, I'm not sure who that was helping. So, we can't pretend like Aaron Rodgers is infallible. I think what he brings to this team is well worth whatever headache he also provides, but it does seem like he's trying to elevate the guys. He's trying to teach them what it takes because he knows better than most of them do.
Look, off-season drama. Jeff, who among us has not visited the pyramids on a work day?
Who among us?
Who among us? Who wants to cast the first stone? How many times have I, on a day when I was supposed to be here hosting the show, instead gone to Egypt?
Absolutely, yeah.
Who among us has not done that? I don't give it. That's what he's saying.
Yeah.
Does that seem important now?
Right.
When he's throwing all those passes and Devontae Adams be here like in a week or two.
He's off the rails
all of a
now.
sudden, does him going to the pyramids feel important now? That's what he's saying.
Here's the thing. It didn't feel important then to some people.
But people made it important. That's what he's saying.
A massive deal. And the reality is, guys played in the league 20 years. He knows what he's doing. Minicamp's not going to change him. It does help other players when you're around, so there's a balance to all this. I do think, though, to his credit, and what you said, him saying that he was going to potentially come back. They won 7 games with me and you at quarterback, right? So there was some hope, and Salah grabbed that hope. Whatever he sold them, they believed, and they bought, and it made them a better team, whether you like it or not.
Hawk, who among us has not dabbled with the idea of running for vice president? Who among us has not cast the first stone if you've never done that?
That's valid. I mean, listen, the storylines from the offseason, is this his first time,
tapping into what covering the NFL is about.
Right.
We do this every year routinely about mini camps, about training camps, and what have you. The reality is, with Aaron Rodgers and the way that he's playing, the New York Jets are a different organization, right? Even if you watch week 3 from week 1, all the things we came on here and talked about that, hey, this team needs to adjust to having an elite quarterback in the building. The way when he gets on scrambles, play action, everybody realizing that you are live always. When you watch the week 3 tape, they got it. They got it in a big way.
To your point, Greeny, though, or it may have been Domonique, when you talk about things are good because they are playing well. When things don't go well, obviously we have to watch how he leads. But if anything, we have praised Aaron Rodgers for coming to the podium and saying the things that the head coach or leader of the organization should say. Now, that Egypt trip, Robert Saleh did mention it. He's the one who let the media know.
100%.
So it became, it wasn't a media creation, like the head coach did mention it. But in the grand scheme of things, as long as you win, off-season stuff is irrelevant.
I defended Aaron Rodgers then, and I also agree with him that some of these mini camps are somewhat meaningless. But the point is, when you get into these important games against very, very good teams, the difference in who wins and loses is so minuscule.
Yeah.
And some people will then say, you know what? That little bit of edge that you could have gained when you were spending time elsewhere is not being completely all in. Whether it's right or wrong, the fact of the matter is you didn't get better by going on a trip.
Believe it or not. Hey, Domonique, if I said Matt LaFleur and Malik Willis have saved the Packers season, you believe it or not?
100% believe it. And I think the first win that they got was a lot of function of Matt LaFleur putting together all types of gadgets. The second one, look at that. Malik Willis is ripping the ball down the field on big third downs. I think it's a product of trust in them. You got to trust each other. You build trust between a coach and a quarterback, and it works out in their favor. And their season's still alive because of it.
It is elite coaching on display. Hawk, how about Sam Darnold? If I said he's going to win Comeback Player of the Year, you believe it or not?
Absolutely believe it. He's had a resurgence in his career, one that none of us actually believed was real. When they drafted J.J. McCarthy, it was so pressingly clear, no matter what Sam Darnold showed us, that J.J. was the answer. All Sam has come in and done is completely turn this offense around and make everyone look at Kevin O'Connell, the Vikings organization in this offense in a completely different light. And also, Sam is setting himself up for a nice little payday.
Once again, elite coaching on display. Jeff, we have a theme. If I said Justin Fields and the Steelers are going to win the division, you believe it or not?
Believe it. Arthur Smith, the offensive coordinator for the Pittsburgh Steelers, has done a tremendous job. Fields has gotten better each week. Their run game is established and physical. And oh, by the way, let's not forget the defense was like best in the league. I don't want to talk about defense, but believe it.
But that is the trifecta of elite coaching. So I just want to share something. On watching these games on Sunday, I tweeted the following. If you don't think coaching is everything in the NFL, then you aren't watching Malik Willis or Sam Darnold or Justin Fields play. Now, for me, a post that gets a lot of traction, I might get 3,000 or 4,000 likes. That one, last time I checked, had 25,000 likes. People really dove into that. So I wanted, people are getting it. That the difference in the good teams in the NFL is so minor, so minuscule. The value of elite coaching, in my opinion, when you see the resurrection of the careers of some of these guys, the value of elite coaching in the NFL, I think, is so extraordinary. How do we quantify it?
I think all the players are good. The coaches who find a way to let the players do what they do best gets the most out of the players. One of the teams that I've been most impressed with, and I was high on before the season, was the Bills, in part because I saw what Sean McDermott did with that defense last year as everyone got hurt. And then we saw what Joe Brady did with the offense to allow Josh Allen to be a better version of himself. And right now, they're the best team in football, in part because they're giving Josh Allen a lot of easy answers so he doesn't have to press. And then every now and then, they let him be magical. And that defense is keeping the lid on everyone and playing really solid up front. And I think that's a combination of having talented players, but having coaches that understand what these guys do best and don't ask them to do everything. Ask them to do the things that they do well and make the job easier for them.
So that's what elite coaching means, right? It means not saying, this is my system. You are a square peg. I'm going to try and shove you into this round hole anyway.
That's right.
It is about looking at the players that you have and putting them in the best position to win. That's elite coaching?
Absolutely, 100%. And what Fox just said is perfect. The only thing I would add to that is this. The assistant coaches, because you mentioned Brady, and what he has done, and McDermott making that change from Dorsey to Brady and what that change is. Tomlin going from Canada to now Arthur Smith. The assistant coaches don't get nearly the credit they should because they're the ones who are touching the players each and every day. They're making the small corrections, whether it's footwork, technique, whatever it is, and finding out what does that player really, what does he do really well? And let's build an offense or a defense around what he can do. Tom Moore, who's in the Hall of Fame, who was with Tony Dungy, Jim Caldwell, and Jim Mora. Pittsburgh Steelers, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, all won Super Bowls with him because he understands key components of play. Those guys don't get nearly the credit. And finding a head coach that finds the right guys is the most important quality of the job.
And it applies to the defense just as much. You were there with Minnesota this week, and the job that Brian Flores has done with that defense.
We are not talking enough about Brian Flores. He had C.J. Stroud, who I absolutely love, who I'm high on, in a blender all afternoon. It was like 4 straight false start penalties in a row, that crowd noise. But Brian Flores, talking to Jonathan Grenard and talking to Stephon Gilmore in the locker room after the game, they were smiling because they were like, yeah, Flo is different. He is a mad scientist because he understands young quarterbacks, as good as they are, they haven't seen everything. But, you know, Hawk said, I agree with him as far as Sam Darnold, comeback player of the year. However, we need to also look at Kevin O'Connell because KOC deserves a lot of credit for the time spent in that building, Sam Darnold in his office, cultivating a locker room and a building where players feel empowered. They get the confidence is instilled back into them. We know what you're good at here. And Kevin O'Connell, it still thinks like a quarterback. He's not removed from his playing days, and that is sort of the glue that's holding everything together.
Right now, he's the coach of the year, unless Matt LaFleur is the coach of the year. That's the point. The elite coaching, and I thought the way you framed it with regard to coaches like Kyle Shanahan this morning in our meeting was fantastic.
The reality is there are not a bunch of good coaches in the NFL, despite what you've been sold. The reality is there's a lot of copy and pasting. I've coached under this guy. He did it this way. Now I'm just going to use that system. And there's a lot more effort put into giving you the appearance that coaches are good so they can climb the ladder. When you have really good coaches, the game slows down for players. The game becomes easier. Under Shanahan, under McDaniel, I had my career year. Every quarterback that comes through their system, the bad ones look decent, the decent ones look good, the good ones look great, and the great ones look like MVPs because they set up their plays and their system and their design to make it easier on the players. So you can play fast without thinking. There's not any sight adjusts for receivers in Shanahan. I play fast. He says, let me take on all the hard stuff. You just make the play when it comes to you, and you see that from the players and their progress.
Especially when you're scheming. It reminds me a little bit of like when people are trying to build a startup, everyone thinks it's about having a good idea. All the coaches can develop a scheme that can beat a particular offense. The problem is they don't have a cohesive scheme that's easy to apply and understand and execute. And that comes with credibility, and it also comes with a tremendous amount of work. The thing that you said, Hawk, that's really important is it was easy for you. They didn't have you thinking, but it was confusing. Like Mike McDonald is an example of that now out in Seattle, was in Baltimore, where if you read about his defense, you understand that what they're asking of the players isn't much, but what it looks like to the quarterback is hectic. And you're seeing that with Brian Flores, where they're running Tampa 2 from looks that look like zero blitz.